Hello, this is Jon Miller, the creator of The Rest of Everest. I think I can safely say that this show is, without a doubt, the most in-depth look into the entire experience of what it takes to climb Everest, as well as some other peaks throughout the Himalayas. But all of the events in this series are shown in chronological order, so if you're new to the show, please go all the way back to episode 000 and watch everything in order. That's truly the best way to enjoy it. Thanks.
This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience. Episode 96, the road, at least currently, less traveled.
Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Rest of Everest. I'm Jon Miller, joined, I'm hoping to say, as always, by Ben Clark out in Telluride.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to see you, John.
Great to see you. And Josh Butson in Telluride as well.
How's it going, John?
I'm doing well. Really glad to have you guys back, and we're going to kind of push right ahead, and we're going to continue the approach to Annapurna IV, because as you might remember from last week, there wasn't supposed to be much of an approach. They were going to fly to a landing strip very close to the mountain, but it ended up being a 65-mile approach, just obviously one way. And so we got another couple episodes of some approach, but I think you all agree it's extremely beautiful footage, an extremely beautiful place. And as we will find out more on this week's episode, it's kind of historic. It's very different already now. This is less than a year old for this footage, and already the terrain and everything is slightly different because of a road that's being built. So I think let's start the episode, and we're going to talk to a man who runs a hotel, and things are going to be very different for these people. So let's head out to the Annapurna Circuit in Nepal. Here we go. All right, this is actually how we ended last week's episode, kind of showing the road construction up there on the left.
Yeah, and then this is a town called Jagat, Jagat. This is a humid little area in sort of the jungle on our way on the circuit. And this is Tim. We met this guy who operates a hotel, and there's this road that's being built all the way to a town called Manang, which we'll approach in future episodes, actually after the climb. And this guy has this hotel, and the government's coming in, and they're going to build this road, and you'll find out from him that there's going to be some changes to his property.
Everything, luggage, food, rice, any food, luggage, bring in the jeep.
You use the jeep?
Yeah.
I'm talking about using the jeep that'll be coming. They won't need porters anymore. All the luggage will come in on the jeep.
We're talking about the road. We're just asking him about the road. So you say 3 to 4 months to be finished. Are you happy that the road is coming? No, you don't like it? How about you?
Why don't you like? Because road coming, all tourists going to Manang.
Oh, so this business is no good?
Business is no good.
Huh.
Yeah.
All tourists take a jeep, a bus, after he goes to Manang.
Instead of coming here?
Yeah.
Right. Because they go from Bule Bule to Manang in one day.
Yeah.
One day, yes.
One day.
Like 5 or 6 hours.
Working is 6 days, 5 days.
Huh.
So when they go to Manang, what then? They won't stop here?
Sorry?
They won't stop here?
Stop?
Stop.
No, stop. You know, they won't stay here if they drive to Manang. They won't eat here or stay here anymore, you think? Like after the road is built, you think that...
This is the road map finished. So maybe one day from this is to Manang.
But is this, like, if this road comes right here, is your hotel going to be in the way? Because the cars will come right here. So they get rid of this shack?
Yeah. And my house, some little bit.
They take a little of the house?
Yeah.
They pay you money for this?
No.
They just say, we take this. Ooh.
How do you, I mean, so they don't give you any money and they take...
Compensation. No compensation.
Governments give money.
Do they do the work? Do they do the work on this house? So if they take this off to make room for the road, the government do the work, or you have to do the work?
This?
Yeah.
Me.
You have to do it, and they pay you no money.
No.
That's crazy.
Not good.
That's like the boobies.
Boobies, boobies. Boobies.
Okay, we got boobs, boobies, tits, and breasts.
Breast.
Yes.
Tim educating the locals.
He was very, very astute
They are all
student.
very nice. If they're very nice.
And then here's some porters. These guys are carrying some food. And they've got this thing called the tump line that they carry everything with on that basket. And they prefer this to a backpack. This is a pretty traditional mode of freight in Nepal.
And that's actually some of our food for our expedition itself. So some of the porters that work for us.
I mean,
Very strong.
That method must be thousands of years old.
Yeah. I mean, it's every expedition I've been on over there, this is the way they do it. And you'll see, throughout the show, you'll see them carrying, 2 duffel bags tied together, and then they're carrying it with a tump line. Now, I like this shot. You got all this old sheet metal and old wood. Like, this is pretty, pretty simple little village, pretty simple construction. Stonework as a trail that weaves through there. So all these buildings, this whole trail here, where you're seeing people staying, this will be a road, probably by the end of the year. And a lot of these cantilever decks that stick out over that trail are probably going to be demolished because they're going to need to widen that all that stonework into a road for them to drive through there.
I mean, are there going to be a lot of benefits that the road brings in that's going to, offset some of the problems, or is that too easy a thought for,
Well, I think it's hard to know because these guys are used to pedestrian access, and all their resources, everything comes primarily from a local source, or it's walked from Besehar or Bubule to these areas, and you'll see people walking all the materials they need in order to build the road, electrical poles, all these different things. They'll start running electricity through here. So I would think it's going to change things pretty drastically because in the heavy season, people would actually stay at this hotel. So when they're showing up, they're going to stay there because you often may have to go to another village just to find a place to stay because it used to be so busy. But what they were saying was that people will be able to drive all the way to sort of the eye candy, like the Telluride of the middle of the Annapurna region, where you can just drive all the way in there and stay at those hotels. And as we'll learn later in the show, when you get to Manang, after the climb, they actually have a trade deal that they had enacted in 1784 that allows them to import electronic goods. So Manang is going to be a pretty prosperous resort destination, I think, in maybe another couple of generations. And all this stuff is just going to be, it's going to be like the Friendship Highway into Tibet. If you've watched the full series, and as John always says, you should go back to the beginning and watch it, you can find out what the Friendship Highway is like. This is what that was probably like, just a pedestrian, foot traffic only trade route before people started to use it with vehicles to travel overland. And here's a lot of the materials to build this stuff and lay down the electricity.
It really is amazing when you think about in this country, the United States, you don't really see stuff like this anymore because all of the foot trails were turned into, state highways or county roads so many generations ago that you don't even think about materials having to be, carried by foot into these remote areas. It's just really amazing to see.
I mean, it's old school. These guys have been doing this for a long time this way. And I think that, you know, with anything, I mean, coming from the West and having seen a lot of development in areas of beauty like this, in national parks, things like that, I think if they're able to manage it well, you can still retain a sense of culture and a sense of locality in these regions, but it's going to be difficult to see if that maintains or not, or if the character of this whole area becomes, you know, much more industrial because of it. I mean, they might start logging the hillsides. I don't know. It's a tough call.
Now, this was Josh's first time on the Annapurna Circuit, but you and Tim, this is 2 years, your second year in a row, and could you already tell a difference from just how it all felt, not just talking about the, you know, certain entrepreneurs who are going to lose business from the road, but was just there just a feeling that, you know, something was being gained or something was being lost?
Yeah, it was a feeling that something was being lost. I mean, I don't think people know. I mean, a lot of these folks have not gone to college or even to an elementary or middle or high school, so to switch from a barter or trade system to a you know, an economic and a tax base in order to subsidize this whole venture, it's going to be a struggle. But it's also it'll make a little kid walking there probably get an education if he wants it. And there's going to be a lot of influence and knowledge pouring into these regions because the access is going to increase. Look at that old shack.
It really is a beautiful landscape, you know. As I've been editing a lot of these episodes, that just for the commentary, so we can record the commentary, one thing that it just keeps going on in my head is just how beautiful it is. And
steep.
Yeah. Okay, so here is the road, and this is to show, you know, just how things are really different, right? You know, than the way that things would be done in the United States. And
there's no jackhammer.
There's not. There's many people, and they make this work go slowly, progression.
But they're loving it.
Yeah. Still trying to figure out what they're doing there. Do you know what they're doing?
Looks like they're trying to secure the sort of the mountainside so that it wouldn't, you know, slough off and end up in the river. Looks like they're...
Yeah, I know. I noticed that, but what that other gentleman was doing there a few seconds ago,
what he was
I'm
twisting?
not really sure. Yeah, he was twisting something. I could never figure it out. And I like this right here.
Well,
would you like your hand to be there?
Well, this is amazing because, you know, living in Colorado, I actually really became interested in sort of the gold mining and silver mining, the history. And this is a hand drill, and this is how all of the gold and silver mines were done back in the 1800s and obviously earlier. That is the drill bit, and you have someone who they wield the hammer, and then the person who's helping out, they would basically turn the bit about a quarter of a turn every strike. And he's also ejecting any of the debris that, you know, comes off from the drill. So I mean, that's a method that really in this country hasn't been seen in 100 years. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And there you have some beautiful hot jungle. I don't know how they're going to get a road through some of these sections. I mean, that's just...
No clue. Some of this terrain here is just hard enough to walk on, let alone trying to figure out where they're going to put the road and how they're going to construct the bridges and stuff like that they need to. It's going to be a whole different world in not too long. We saw it from, you know, actually, not so much saw it. It was more that you just told me about the previous year, how much it changed. And it's amazing. Yeah. Sure is a beautiful place.
Ben, you mentioned the Friendship Highway up into Tibet, and when I see this kind of landscape, I kind of think of the area above Zhangmu where there's still a lot of water, and how there's just mudslides every year where some of the road just disappears.
Totally.
Temporarily until it's kind of rebuilt and they put temporary bridges in, and just that's probably going to happen here too, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I'm certain that just the engineering that's going to have to go into trying to cross a river like this. I mean, if they don't just keep it all on one side of the, one aspect, it's going to be a nightmare. I mean, they get some serious, disaster style flooding there sometimes. You got all these suspension bridges.
There sure are some long bridges.
Yeah.
Look at all that equipment.
And there's
a wonderful case.
Hikers cruising through.
Hey, there's the table again.
Yeah.
And a blue barrel.
You'll notice the blue barrel, the table, and that yellow pelican case. Had a lot of
Israelis.
Yep.
So did you see a lot of other groups along your approach as you were on the Annapurna Circuit? Just a lot of people, a lot of tourists?
I don't know. What do you... Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, yeah. I felt like there wasn't very much traffic on the way in. On our way out, there was even less. We definitely were told by a lot of the places we stayed in, the tea houses, that this was definitely the end of the season. We were pretty much some of the last people heading out of the Annapurna Circuit, and we were sort of... That was a little bit of an issue, trying to find choices of places to stay. A lot of the places were eliminated. It seemed like a lot of people that had the tea houses themselves would collaborate and actually just keep one of them open. And I don't know how they, split those proceeds or however they do it, but they helped each other out.
This is the village of Tal. It's Tal, sandy little beach in the middle of the Himalaya.
This is our little forge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. So we almost lost Ben and the camera.
This is an awesome spot.
So is this something that you guys had just done? That you just walked through there? Mm-hmm.
Totally. Cold water.
They're finding the way that's easier across. We found some of the deeper sections.
Yeah, they're going to be a lot smarter than you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pretty local.
It's definitely their turf, and they know what's going on, and they know where every little rock is.
Now, was it just an area that was too wide to have a bridge, or?
Yeah. I think we had walked in there last year and it had been pretty easy, but this year the water was really high.
Mm-hmm. There was an upper trail, but it was, definitely a lot steeper and more strenuous. We decided to roll the dice and go for it and see how cold that water really was, and it was cold.
It was cold. Well, cool. Thanks a lot, guys. I look forward to seeing next week, because next week we're going to be continuing up. We won't make the mountain next week, but you're going to start seeing the landscape changing as we get higher and higher, and just a different ecosystem, and it starts looking just as interesting, but just completely different. It's going to be really great.
We move out of that sweaty jungle. into some higher elevations where it's more pleasant, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are definitely mountain boys. So
yes.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I wanna just mention, I'll try to remember this at the end of every episode, but these guys are both online. Ben can be found daily at he as a television show host in Telluride, and he produces a lot of content for Plum TV, which is a network in a bunch of mountain resort communities. And so you can find a lot of Ben's content at telluride.plumtv.com.
Yeah, check it out. We just did a piece on the Ouray Ice Festival, and we're going to be climbing Bridal Veil Falls here pretty soon with I believe Don Glantz, the Ouray Ice Festival winner, one of my fellow Mountain Hardware team athletes. So it's going to be some pretty cool stuff coming up if you're interested in seeing what the backyard here looks like and why it is that when we leave we miss this beautiful place.
Yeah, every time I go down to visit, I end up trying to figure out a way how I can move there. But and then you've heard us kind of allude to Josh. Or Josh has been alluding to. He has a lot of several businesses, and two of them can be found online at TellurideAdventures.com, and that is the San Juan Outdoor School and Telluride Alpinism. Is that correct, Josh?
That is correct. Yeah, those are two of my guide services that I run, along with a nonprofit I also run that can be found at that same website.
Yeah, so if you want to get some mountaineering done in the Colorado Rockies, it's a great place to go. So, well, thanks so much, guys, and we will catch up with you guys next week.
Sounds great.
The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every day, and watching the show has become a part of many people's weekly routine. The show will always be free to download, but it's by no means free to produce. Please help me cover my costs by making a small monthly or one-time donation from the right sidebar on my website, and in return I'll give you some cool bonus materials. A donation of any amount will grant you access to some interesting video content, including high-definition versions of several podcast episodes. A one-time donation of $25 or more, or any of the monthly donation options, will additionally grant you access to a downloadable version of the film Everest: The Other Side, which episodes 1 to 61 are based on. I really cannot express how vital these donations are, and if you've made a donation, thank you so much. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywoo.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.